Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. That was Viktor Frankl, a man who survived the darkest horrors of humanity, yet understood the ultimate secret to power. Most men believe winning requires force, loud arguments, or dominant posturing. They think they have to try hard to be the alpha. But have you ever noticed that the man who commands the most respect in the room is often the quietest? He doesn't demand attention, he attracts it. He doesn't chase women or success. They seem to naturally gravitate toward him. This isn't magic, it is the silent, lethal edge of emotional intelligence. Today we aren't just talking about feelings, we are decoding the psychological framework that allows high-value men to win negotiations, relationships, and life without ever breaking a sweat. If you want to unlock the hidden code of human behavior and master your reality, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. Let's dive in. Let's start with the most immediate weapon in the emotionally intelligent man's arsenal: the strategic pause. Most men operate on a hair trigger. Someone insults them, they snap back. A car cuts them off, they rage. A woman pulls away, they chase. This is the behavior of a leaf blown by the wind, helpless and reactive. The high EQ man operates differently. He masters the gap between the trigger and the action. Imagine a high-stakes boardroom meeting. Tensions are high. A rival executive, let's call him Mark, starts raising his voice, throwing accusations, trying to rattle the CEO, whom we'll call David. Mark is red-faced, aggressive, and loud. The room goes silent, waiting for David to yell back. But David does nothing. He maintains eye contact, his face relaxed, his breathing steady. He waits for 3 full seconds after Mark finishes. The silence becomes heavy, almost suffocating for Mark. When David finally speaks, his voice is calm and low. "Are you done ventriloquizing your anxiety, Mark, or do you have a solution?" In that moment, Mark looks like a child, and David looks like a king. This is the pause in action. As the ancient Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When you pause, you short-circuit the other person's expectation. They expect a fight, you give them a void. This forces them to over-explain, stumble, and reveal their hand. But this goes deeper than just negotiation. In your personal life, the pause is the difference between a breakup and a breakthrough. When you feel that surge of anger, your amygdala, the primitive part of your brain, wants to hijack the controls. The EQ man recognizes this physiological spike. He feels the heat in his chest, but he treats it like a passing cloud, not a command. He wins without trying because, while others are exhausting themselves fighting their own emotions, he is channeling his energy into calculated, precise action. He controls the pace of reality because he controls the pace of his own mind. When we hear the word empathy, many men tune out. They equate it with being soft or overly sentimental. But in the realm of the high-value man, empathy is not about being nice. It is about tactical data gathering. It is X-ray vision. It is the ability to see the hidden motivations driving the people around you. If you can understand why someone is acting the way they are, you can dismantle them or align with them with minimal effort. Consider the story of a hostage negotiator. He doesn't win by shooting, he wins by listening. There was a case where a man was threatening to jump off a bridge, holding up traffic for hours. Police shouted orders, but the man ignored them. Then an emotionally intelligent negotiator arrived. He didn't yell, he walked up, took off his jacket because it was cold, and said, "It looks like you've been carrying the weight of the world for a long time. That must be exhausting." The man on the ledge broke down in tears. He didn't need orders, he needed to feel seen. The negotiator won. He saved a life and cleared the bridge without force. The emotionally intelligent man applies this to dating and business. When a woman seems difficult or testing, the average man gets defensive. The EQ man looks deeper. He asks himself, what is she actually afraid of right now? He realizes her coldness isn't an attack, it's a shield against getting hurt. By addressing the fear rather than the behavior, he disarms her instantly. As Alfred Adler wrote, empathy is seeing with the eyes of another, listening with the ears of another, and feeling with the heart of another. When you possess this skill, you stop taking things personally. The rude waiter isn't attacking you. He's overwhelmed. The micromanaging boss isn't evil. He's insecure about his own competence. When you see the truth, you stop fighting ghosts. You navigate through social hierarchies with the ease of a master chess player who knows his opponent's next 3 moves before they even touch a piece. You win because you are playing the game with the lights on, while everyone else is stumbling in the dark. There is a paradox in male psychology that very few understand. The man who tries hardest to look perfect is the one who looks the most fragile. We've all met the guy who can never admit he's wrong, who boasts about his money, who acts like he has no fears. We instinctively know he is hiding something. He is weak. The emotionally intelligent man flips this script. He uses vulnerability not as a weakness, but as the ultimate armor. Think about the character of Tony Stark in the Marvel movies. Why do people love him? It's not just the suit, it's because he admits his flaws. He admits he has anxiety. He admits he was wrong. When a man is comfortable enough in his own skin to say, "I messed up," or "I don't know the answer to that," he becomes untouchable. You cannot insult a man who owns his flaws because he has already accepted them. Let's look at a real-world scenario. 2 men are on a first date. Man A spends the whole night trying to impress the girl, listing his achievements, talking about his gym routine, trying to be the alpha. It feels forced. It feels like a job interview. Man B sits back, laughs, and tells a story about how he completely embarrassed himself at a presentation last week. He laughs at himself. He is relaxed. Who is the woman more attracted to? Man B. Why? Because his willingness to show a flaw signals high status. It subcommunicates. I am so confident in my value that I don't need to hide my mistakes. Brené Brown, a renowned researcher, put it perfectly. Vulnerability sounds like truth and feels like a courage. Truth and courage aren't always comfortable, but they're never weakness. Winning without trying means you stop wasting energy maintaining a fake persona. It takes an exhausting amount of calorie-burning effort to wear a mask all day. The high EQ man drops the mask. He is authentic. This authenticity builds trust instantly. In business, clients trust the man who says, "This product might not be right for you," over the man who says, "This is perfect," when it isn't. By being real, he wins the long game of reputation and respect, while the tryhards are eventually exposed as frauds. Conflict is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Most men view conflict as a battle of wills where one person must dominate and the other must submit. This is a low EQ approach that burns bridges and creates enemies. The emotionally intelligent man views conflict like a game of judo. In judo, you do not block your opponent's strike with force. You use their momentum to flip them. Here is a technique used by master communicators: the validation loop. When someone attacks you verbally, they expect resistance. Resistance gives them something to push against. Instead, the EQ man agrees with the emotion, if not the facts. Imagine a wife is angry at her husband for working late. She yells, "You care more about your job than this family." The defensive man yells back, "I'm doing this for the family. You're ungrateful." Now they are fighting. The EQ man uses verbal judo. He listens, pauses, and says, "It sounds like you're feeling abandoned, and you're scared we're drifting apart. Is that right?" Suddenly the fight is over. He didn't apologize for working, if he had to work, but he validated her feeling. The wind leaves her sails. She collapses into the truth of the emotion. As the great martial artist Bruce Lee said, "Be like water making its way through cracks. Do not be assertive, but adjust to the object, and you shall find a way around or through it." This works in the office too. When a client is furious about a delay, don't make excuses. Say, "You have every right to be angry. I would be frustrated too if I were in your position. Let's fix this." By aligning yourself with them against the problem, you turn an opponent into a partner. You win the conflict by removing the enemy. You haven't tried to dominate them. You have simply maneuvered them to your side of the table. This saves you massive amounts of mental energy and preserves your relationships, which are your true capital in life. Have you ever watched a man walk into a party and kill the vibe instantly? He tells a joke that's too loud. He interrupts people. He stands too close. He lacks social calibration. On the flip side, the emotionally intelligent man has a built-in sensor for the temperature of the room. He wins without trying because he flows with the social current rather than swimming against it. This isn't about being a people pleaser. It's about efficiency. Think of James Bond. Bond is rarely the loudest man in the room. He enters, he scans, he observes, he matches his energy to the environment. If the room is somber, he is respectful. If the room is high energy, he is playful. This ability to mirror creates instant rapport. There is a psychological concept called the chameleon effect. Studies show that we unconsciously like people who subtly mimic our body language in tonality. The high EQ man does this naturally. If he is talking to a fast-talking CEO, he speeds up his speech. If he is talking to a shy intern, he slows down and lowers his voice. He makes everyone feel comfortable. Let me tell you a quick story about a salesman named Tom. Tom wasn't the smartest guy in his firm, but he was the top earner. Why? He noticed things others missed. He noticed when a client glanced at their watch, signal to wrap up. He noticed when a client's eyes lit up about golf, signal to pivot the conversation. His colleagues were too busy reciting their scripts to notice the human in front of them. Tom won because he was present. Maya Angelou famously said, "People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." The EQ man masters the feeling of the interaction. By the time he asks for the sale, the date, or the promotion, the other person is already eager to give it to him because they feel understood and comfortable. He wins through the path of least resistance. One of the biggest reasons men lose is because they are slaves to external validation. They post on social media for likes. They buy cars they can't afford to impress people they don't like. They change their opinions to fit in. This reeks of desperation. The emotionally intelligent man has severed the puppet strings of public opinion. He wins without trying because he is playing for an audience of one, himself. This is the core of quiet confidence. When you know your own value, you don't need to broadcast it. Think of the lion. The lion does not walk through the savannah barking like a small dog to prove he is scary. The lion walks slowly. He sleeps 20 hours a day. He knows what he is. There is a story of a young monk who was insulted by a passerby. The passerby spat on him. The monk simply wiped it off and kept walking. His students were furious. "Master, why didn't you defend your honor?" The monk replied, "If someone offers you a gift and you do not accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" The students said, "It belongs to the giver." The monk nodded. "Exactly. He offered me his anger, and I did not accept it. It remains his." This is the level of the EQ man. He defines his own reality. If a woman rejects him, he doesn't spiral into self-hatred. He thinks, "We weren't a match, on to the next." If he fails at business, he doesn't think, "I'm a failure," he thinks, "That was a data point." Because his self-worth is internal, he is unshakable. This is incredibly attractive. People want to be around someone who is solid, someone who acts as a rock in the middle of a stormy ocean. By not needing anything from others, he paradoxically gets everything from them. A common misconception is that emotional intelligence means being nice or a pushover. This is false. High EQ requires the ability to set ruthless boundaries, but to do so with grace. This is the velvet rope concept. A nightclub doesn't need barbed wire to keep people out. It has a velvet rope and a bouncer who speaks politely but firmly. The emotionally intelligent man knows that his time and energy are his most valuable resources. He does not let people dump their toxicity on him. He does not let people waste his time. But he enforces this without anger. Imagine a colleague tries to push their work onto you. The low EQ man either aggressively says, "Do it yourself," or passively says, "Okay," and resents it. The high EQ man says, "I can't take that on right now as I'm focused on my priority list, but I trust you'll handle it well." It's a firm no, wrapped in professionalism. There is no room for argument. Warren Buffett once said, "The difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything." When you respect your own boundaries, others respect you. There was a man named Steve who was terrified of his girlfriend leaving him, so he did everything she asked. He canceled plans with friends. He changed his hobbies. Eventually, she left him. Why? Because she lost respect for him. He had no boundaries. In his next relationship, Steve learned. He maintained his hobbies. He said no when he was tired. Surprisingly, this woman loved him more. She felt safe because he was a man of substance, not a doormat. Winning without trying means establishing the rules of engagement early. When you value yourself, the world follows your lead. We have discussed the pause, empathy, vulnerability, conflict, and boundaries. But the true power lies in how these things compound over time. Emotional intelligence is not a hack for a quick win. It is a lifestyle that builds a legacy. Think of your life as a garden. The low EQ man is constantly stomping on his own plants with anger, flooding them with insecurity, or neglecting them with lack of awareness. He works hard, sweating and toiling, but his garden never grows because he destroys it as fast as he builds it. The high EQ man is the wise gardener. He waters the soil with empathy. He prunes the weeds with boundaries. He gives the plants sunlight with positivity. He doesn't try to force the plant to grow by pulling on it. He creates the conditions for growth, and nature takes its course. Over 10 years, the difference is astronomical. The EQ man has a network of loyal friends because he listened to them. He has a thriving marriage because he navigated conflict with love. He has a loyal team at work because he led with vision and humanity. He wins the game of life because he played the long game. Aristotle said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. When you integrate these habits, when you stop reacting and start responding, when you stop judging and start understanding, you enter a flow state. Opportunities seem to fall into your lap. People introduce you to other high-value people. Women approach you. Money flows to you because people trust you with it. You aren't forcing the door open, you are holding the key. So the next time you feel the heat of anger, the sting of rejection, or the pressure to perform, stop. Remember the space between stimulus and response. That is where your kingdom lies. You don't need to be the loudest, the hardest, or the most aggressive to win. You just need to be the most aware. If you want to master your mind and elevate your life, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. We are building a community of men who win the right way.